My plan of attack is very simple. We're going to treat our kids fair, and we're going to be tough. We're going to ask them to commit themselves to excellence in everything that they do.
The positive approach and commitment to performance of Coach Nealon swept through the program like a spring breeze. Suddenly, there was an atmosphere of optimism. Things were changing.
We sold our kids on the fact that, hey, you haven't won any games around here for 4 or 5 years, but there's a couple things we can do as a football team. Number one, we can be the best conditioned team on the field. Number two, we can make the fewest mistakes of the teams on the football field. And we sold our kids on that. And we started to win. And once we started to win, they believed in it, and then the rest became history. Early in his career, Darryl was just kind of a East Cleveland guy bebopping around.
First couple games, I traveled. Then the third game came up, and I wasn't traveling. I'm like, what the hell's going on? It was a home game. What's going on?
He was redshirted the very first year we came here, and because he was probably a little bit immature at the time.
You know, before that game, I went in and I talked to Coach Signetti, and he told me he's going to redshirt me. No, we got to go talk to my daddy about this. I don't know nothing about no redshirt. Had a few other words in between, but he told me, son, we could see a chance for you being a 4-year starter. I wanted to play football now.
Talley actually became probably our best player after he was redshirted, and then come back the next season. It was two different players.
Got redshirted, sitting on the sideline, looking around. We're playing Pitt. I'm sitting there, I'm going, you know what? This is boring. I can't play. They ain't gonna let me in the game. Lay my head back. I'm already mad. I'm like, forget it, just go to sleep. Bam, right to sleep.
We're sitting on the little bleachers right on the side of the bench. And I'm looking, I'm saying, is he asleep? Is he asleep?
He was on the bench, his head was back, and his eyes were closed. Now, I'm not smart enough to know if he was sleeping, but he wasn't too into the game. I want you to know that.
I'm like, how can you sleep at a game like this?
And I said, they ain't gonna play me anyway, so what do I care? Sat there and slept.
Guys are jumping up and down, and he's actually asleep.
So they redshirted me, which I later came back and told him thank you. That was probably the best thing he could have done for me.
But when we got him focused, he became a great, great football player.
And from that point forward, we worked to get better.
If we don't practice good, we're not going to play good. And usually that's what happens. If we didn't have a good practice, especially on the defensive end, we didn't have a good game.
We used to tell Ron Wolfley, he was a fullback, he was a freshman that we recruited, told him, say, look, if you can block me and you can block him, you can block anybody in this league. But you know what? You're going to have to bring it to block me. We used to told one guy, Ed Hill, they say Dennis still got his heart. Told him, son, you come up in here, we're going to tattoo you. And we proceeded to beat on our own teammates until they started playing us harder.
The hardest hit that I had in my whole college career was Darryl in a practice. I caught a screen pass, and I went out, and Darryl dropped back. He came up and hit me. My feet went up in the air.
I mean, he used to really go after that. And I said, you know, watching my brother, he wasn't weighing that much when he came to West Virginia University. He's real small. So he packed a punch, though. He packed a punch with a small amount.
He practiced like he plays. He went hard every play, every series. That's the only way he knew how to do it.
He kind of gave me into the same kind of atmosphere as he was, and it was like real cool. He was a workaholic.
Back in the day, that's how you made the team. If you practiced hard, you played hard, and you came every day, you played. And now if a guy's good, they'll try and hold him out of practice, just give him a little bit of practice. Things change. I mean, back then you had to hard work. If you wanted to play, you had to play. You had to play hurt. You had to continue to play. He was a very dedicated ball player. His work ethic was, hard. Everything he did was hard. He went after it all the time.
Every day in and out, we had to actually build a reputation from West Virginia. So we played hard, we practiced hard, we played hard. So we wasn't just game players, we were actually practice players. And so Talley brought it hard, we all brought it hard.
Because I can remember when Darryl couldn't even run over the bags. When we did bag drills, we made sure he was in front of the line because he messed up all the bag drills or the rope drills. We made sure he was the first one to go through because then you got to straighten them all back up. So that's less time for us to run through them.
But I used to destroy him when I went through. It was funny. But then I wound up having better feet than any of them because I worked on mine.
After a while, we didn't want him to be the first one to go through the bags or the drills because he didn't trip them up no more.
Bob Simmons was the architect of teaching you technique. To this day, I still remember the things he had me do. He had me put a piece of tape up on the wall, had me stand there, and he said, you stay in your stance, and you step with 1 foot. Your hands and your head are to meet at the wall at the same time. And when you step, that'll bring your hips and everything with you. So after I learned how to do this, I became pretty good at it. I got to the point to where I could look at the tight end, determine how he's standing in his stance, and knew where he was going to go, and I'd beat him to his spot.
You know, you can teach them technique, you can teach them how to wrap up, where to place the head and so forth, but the actual boom, the actual pop, they either have it or they don't. Because Darryl didn't miss tackles. Like I say, when he hit you, he hit you. He didn't need 6 or 8 other guys coming to drag him down. They were already down.
What Darryl brought to the team was leadership on defense. When guys would get tired or think that, you know, it was over, he'd grab you and actually grab you and pump you up, get you back in the game. You know, never die, never quit attitude.
Me and Dennis was the mouthpiece. Dennis Folks was the mouthpiece during that time. We get everybody in the right sets and in the right place and that type of stuff. But Talley, he just quietly did his job.
I guess you can call him thing 1, thing 2 all in one because his hair was all over the place. He had no 2 front teeth. They was gone. Never wanted to wear his partials or, you know, his fake teeth. So thing 1, thing 2 all wrapped up in one.
You know, you can work at it and guys get better, but Darryl's was natural. Darryl didn't work at anything before he got here. I guarantee you that. But he just had a lot of God-given ability. And you know, some guys like to play football. You know, a lot of guys don't like to take their body and boom, run it into somebody else. You know, and good football players like to do that. You know, my wife said to me, how can anybody like to do that? And you know, I wasn't a very good player, but I enjoyed playing. And Darryl, he enjoyed knocking people down.
And he used to call us hoopies and hillbillies. And I used to get so mad.